Patreon Q&A number 67, part 2. Part 1 was released earlier today. I still want to thank all 103 of my incredible patrons. That's amazing, guys, and I can't thank you enough for all the support. To everyone else listening, there's going to be spoilers in these questions and answers, so tread carefully. Free-Tshirts asks, "Hey Shonen, hope you've had a great Christmas. Sorry for the absence, but I've been super sick and life has just been kind of rough, but your videos always seem to cheer me up." Hey, I'm sorry to hear that, Free-Tshirts. I hope you're feeling better, and I'm really glad that my videos can, do anything to even cheer you up, so that's awesome. Anyway, I've got a question I've been wondering for a while now. Do you think that Evil Natural Water would tolerate of even a form of a relationship with Deep Sea King or the Sea Folk, and how much stronger would they be? I ask because Evil Natural Water has a symbiotic relationship with the Mad Doctor Fish, so why not form a beneficial relationship with the King of the Sea? Thanks for all your hard work, man. I really appreciate everything you do to entertain others. Till next week. Hey, thank you again, Free-Tshirts. So, I think that maybe this could happen. But it also goes into the possibility that maybe the Mad Doctor Fish are tolerated by the Evil Natural Water because they're kind of on the same level of intelligence as him. Like, they're both kind of have that animal self-awareness to them where they're not exactly self-aware. Even though it's really debatable with Evil Natural Water because it says that his main intelligence goes off of sensing the emotions of others, but then we saw that he was able to be aware of sludge jellyfish and the oil within him, and he sucked it out of him to his advantage. So, what's really going on with Evil Natural Water? Meaning that, would he tolerate an intelligent being like, the Deep Sea King within him? So, it's up in the air, but if he did, and he was able to go over Evil Natural Water go over the Deep Sea King like a suit, kind of like Venom, who's also, he's classified as a symbiote, and he has a symbiotic relationship with the people that wear him. If he could do that to Deep Sea King, that would be incredible. Because it would buff them, I think, to definitely a buff dragon, for sure. Because Deep Sea King would be encased in Evil Natural Water, meaning that he would essentially also be what he would be like underwater. So he would be fully hydrated, even more so than what the rain gave him. So he would already have that buff, but then he would have the in the water buff, which we haven't really seen yet. And I theorize that maybe that could push him to dragon level, because he would be at peak strength. In theory, he could be at peak speed, even faster than when we saw him go against Sonic. So he would probably be just as fast, maybe even faster than Sonic there. But also maybe he would kind of have a water shield that Evil Natural Water could also give him. And of course, he would have the jet streams from that, which would kind of act on their own, because the Evil Natural Water would just kind of be doing it itself. And then, he would constantly be regenerating the water as well, because he'd be pulling it from the air and everything. So he would never really run dry from that as well. This is really interesting to think about. I would love if somebody drew this, actually. I think that would be really cool. Zapphod B asks, "Hey Shonen, Happy New Year." Hey, thanks Zapphod, you too, my friend. My first question is about Rover's blast from the last chapter. In one panel, it seems like his blasts are changing direction mid-air. Does Rover have the ability to manipulate his blast after firing like Homeless Emperor, or perhaps have auto-tracking blast? If he does, how much of a boost is this? I went back to Rover vs. Garo fight, and I did not see anything that looked like his blasts are changing direction at all. So yes, they are changing direction, and I think it's awesome. So I think it's probably less of the auto-tracking ability and more so of him just deciding where they want to go, kind of like how Homeless Emperor does it. Because if they did have the auto-tracking ability, we probably would have seen it in the Rover vs. Garo fight, like you mentioned. So that also brings me to his abilities are similar to Homeless Emperor, just kind of better, which might mean that maybe his abilities are tied to God. Maybe that will be revealed later on in the story, possibly. Maybe God just randomly decided to make Homeless Emperor a random dog just into one of his test subjects or something, just to see how powerful he can make something. Maybe it's similar to that. Maybe something like Vaccine Man. But this does buff Rover a lot, because this fills in the hole in his game originally to where you can just evade his blast, kind of like how Bang and Bomb are doing, or anyone else who's a speedster or just really fast. Now, instead of just firing in one direction, he could just follow you with the blast, which ups him a lot. Makes him even way more dangerous than he already was. It's almost kind of overkill at this point that he can change directions with his blast. But I love it. Do you think Gearspur using his maxed out power that we saw against Neon could deflect a blast from Rover like Fubuki did? Again, I wish you a Happy New Year, Zonin. Many thanks for all your amazing content this year. Hey, thank you again, Zapphod, for all your amazing support this year. I can't thank you enough. So yeah, I think Gear Spur using his maxed out power could definitely deflect Rover's blast better than Fubuki and more consistently than Fubuki. Although it really depends on how much he can use his power and how long he can use it, because it wasn't very long against Neon. But if he can use it for like a minute, then he could definitely do way better against Rover than most, actually, because that power that he used against Neon was pretty impressive. Now, I don't think he'd probably be able to damage Rover because he didn't really damage Neon, but maybe he can even deflect the blast back at Rover. I could see him possibly doing something like that. And then that's where we possibly get into damaging Rover territory. But that's just hypothetical. But I think for sure he could deflect multiple blasts from Rover, giving his full power. Wolf Pup, the one above all patrons, asks, "Hi Shonen, do you think we will see Genos on the next chapter fighting alongside with Team Fubuki? If no, what plans do one have for Genos? I still think that Genos will use the 10-second blast against King Orochi, not kill him, but have a struggle tag of war. So somewhere at the very end, when the heroes are on death's door, Genos will have his moment to shine and use his 10-second Kamehameha against Orochi, all of his serpents combined to shoot his huge beam blast. So when Genos is holding off his attack, that's when Tatsumaki shoots down and kills Orochi. What do you think?" So it's still, really up in the air if Orochi's going to come back. I'm honestly unsure of this, but we are coming close to it. Like, we're going to get to her pulling out the Monster Association base within the next 3 chapters, probably, maybe 4. And then for sure we'll know if Orochi's coming back at that point. But if we're just going into less speculation about Orochi coming back, I think it's more likely that Genos will use the 10-second blast to save Tatsumaki, because that's what we know for sure Genos does in the webcomic. But then again, it's difficult to say because he should be with Fubuki, or Team Fubuki right now, taking on Rover. And I'm surprised that he didn't come into this chapter, 124, and help them take on Rover. So maybe he'll come in the next chapter possibly and help them finish the fight, but then again, the fight's already pretty much over if we're going by webcomic standards, considering that like after they do the Crossfang Dragon Slayer fist, then Bang says the whole sit thing and then he sits. So maybe that changes and maybe Genos comes in and maybe Genos takes down Rover. And maybe that's the reason why Rover shrinks, possibly, something like that, which we don't get an initial explanation for. But if Genos just happens to come when the base gets pulled out of the ground, then I think it's ultimately going to come down to him just probably wiping out all of the cadres at once and damaging them severely, and then maybe that leads to Bang being able to one-shot them because they've been damaged by Genos, who was saving Tatsumaki at the time. But if Orochi does come back, I would love for him to just straight up kill Orochi, not even have a struggle with him, because I think that would be good justice for Genos. ShadowBatX asks, "If it isn't the myth, the legend, the one above all, Shonen." Again, you're still up there with one of Murata. Also, I up my pledge again because I felt bad since it sounded like you were about to cry at the end of my question. Hey Shonen, don't make me cry. Teardrop. I'm just being honest here. If we cry together, and Let's Cry about our boy Garo is number 1 for top 5 characters for 2019. That is true. Now, let's talk about Blast, aka the Bearded Worker, aka Yusuke Murata himself. Oh, this is new. On how he could talk about how he could fight Saitama. You said that he could fight him if Saitama stood out as he did with the Meteor. I disagree. I think that Blast could go rogue, since he's the mirror image of Superman. There are alternate visions to him. Of him. For instance, in Justice version, where he is still a hero, but in his own twisted way. This could work for Blast as well. Oh yeah? Where's your proof? Oh, I'm glad you asked, Shonen. So the hidden proof is that the Bearded Worker is always worried when trouble happens, indicating that he feels guilty that he isn't out there as Blast. Also, when the heroes find out about the dark secret of the association and are fighting one another for dominance, Bearded Worker has had enough and declares that he is the one true hero that the planet needs. He then goes about to take out the heroes and the associations, and this is where Saitama comes in to stop him in a way. What do you think? Or are we just going to start with so and say, in my opinion? I've got nothing to lose since it's the end of the year. So my final question. Okay, we'll go into that. So, in my opinion, Just kidding. But not really. Anyway, I think that it is possible that Blast could go what could be considered rogue, and it could be the opposite of what I think. Like, instead of Blast seeing Saitama as a threat, it's Saitama who sees Blast as a threat. And that would be cool. I'm on board for either way. But I think it's more likely that instead of Blast trying to take out all of the heroes and deeming himself the true hero, I think it's more likely that he just probably tries to take down the Hero Association once he figures out the corruption that's going on within them. Because obviously he's closely tied to the association and he likes it, and you know, it's like his career path, it's like his life. So once he finds out there's all the dirty money and the civilian casualties and the cover-ups and the monster black market stuff going on, I don't think he's obviously going to be on board with that. So maybe he lashes out against them and he tries to like expose everything, but then they like forcefully eject him from the association, and then they just make it appear as though he's rogue, because they've already established before that they could just exile a hero and then label them disasters. Like, they said that they were going to do that with Tatsumaki and label her a dragon. So they could probably do something like that with the Bearded Worker / Blast. And then they're like, all heroes must take him down on sight. And then that's when Saitama comes into the picture. He's like, hey, sorry, dude. It's just business. I'm just doing my job. They label you as a threat, so I got to take you down. And it could be something like that. Second question, what if Saitama and Tatsumaki fell in love? You never felt so tempted to block someone until now. Hey, I'm sure even King would ship this. Join me, Shonen. It's going to happen. You don't want to upset King. Honestly, you could choose not to answer this. I just wanted to hear you say it. I'll ask about Fubuki in the next Q&A so you can peel every layer of her. Don't worry, I'll free you up in the new year. Anyways, Happy New Year, the legendary Shonen. With much love, my friend. Hey, you too, ShadowBatX. I hope you have a great new year as well. So, I'm not delusional about this. I do think there's a possibility that Saitama and Tatsumaki could fall in love. I mean, we possibly could be seeing the seeds of this planted throughout the entire series, since they initially meet in, episode 10 or episode 9 of season 1. And as well, I don't know, like chapter 30 or something of the manga, somewhere around there. And they obviously had some kind of connection there. They had some kind of chemistry. And then it ultimately goes all the way to the Psychic Sisters arc, when there was some serious chemistry there, especially towards the end of the arc, when she kind of, I don't know, begrudgingly accepts Saitama in one way or another. So it's either going to be Tatsumaki or Fubuki. I personally hope it's Fubuki, because I don't like Tatsumaki other than from an aesthetic standpoint. But it is possible. And, you know, he could go the route of Kishimoto and just straight up give the fans what they want, because obviously a lot of people ship Tatsumaki and Saitama. I mean, just Google it. You'll see a whole bunch of fan art and other things of that nature. So it's possible that he does that. I just hope that Saitama winds up with someone. I don't want him to be alone at the end of the series. I just want him to, you know, have a good woman by his side who's going to treat him right. Yonatan G asks, hey Shonen, what's up? This time I'll give you some matchups, and you'll choose the best and the most interesting matchup in your opinion. Of course, who wins and why. So the matchups are USJ All Might versus Giro Giro, aka Psycho, Semi-Mask versus Atomic Samurai, Meteoric versus Boros versus current manga Meliodas, Zombie Man versus Flash versus Overgrown Rover. So I think the most interesting one here is probably USJ All Might versus Giro Giro, and that's because I have a better understanding of this one. I don't know about Meliodas, and the other ones are a little too difficult to say. So I think USJ All Might probably could overcome Giro Giro, and Psycho's possibly, because we saw that Giro Giro's psychic abilities was able to hold Pre-Wogaro still, but he was eventually able to break out of it. So I think USJ All Might could probably do the same. But then we saw Psychos at her full power was able to hold Abandonment Bang still. It was really up in the debate how long she could have held him still, but I don't think it was indefinitely. So I think USJ All Might could probably break out of this, and then like maybe 1 or 2 Detroit Smashes would be enough to take care of Giro Giro. But it would be like a difficult fight for him, because he's no chump, obviously, Dragon level Esper. But his speed would probably be a lot for Psychos to deal with. Just in my opinion. Second question, the future. Which Class 1A students will be the strongest? I want you to choose the top 5, rank them, and explain why they'll be strong. Exclude the big 3. I think the top 5 are Kaminari. He'll learn how to use his quirk and won't become stupid. Kirishima, he'll be able to become unbreakable for a long time. Yaoyorozu, I hope I spelled that right, pretty much. Tokoyami, when he'll control Dark Shadow at night, and Ida. What do you think? Thanks, bro. So my top 5 is, at number 5 I have Kaminari. So I don't think he'll become strong enough to be number 1. I do think that he will learn to use his 1 million volt or 2 million volt thing that he does, and he won't become stupid. I think that will eventually happen for sure, but I don't think Kaminari will become that strong. I just don't see the projection for his character to go that far. At least as far as the story is focusing on him, I don't think he's going to go to that point. Number 4, I have Ida. He's definitely going to get an increase. Maybe even he'll awaken his quirk or improve his quirk to the point of where he's just the fastest. And I think that will push him to like the 4th spot. And then number 3, I think, will be Tsuyu. She's already one of the strongest in Class 1A. And I think she's going to have an awakening or an advancement to her quirk as well, which is going to push her. She also has some of the best training, and she's already pushing past all of the other students with like her constant internships that she has, which is also currently happening in the story. And that brings me to number 2, who is Uraraka. I think that she's going to have an advancement or an awakening to her quirk as well. She also has similar training to Tsuyu, and her quirk has such good potential to it. She has such a broken quirk. I mean, we saw, like, if you really want to use it to kill people, you can easily do it, because we saw that Toga used it, and it was pretty deadly. So if, like, Uraraka even wants to attempt to do stuff like that, she become broken. And the number 1, I think Tokoyami. I think Tokoyami will probably become the 4th strongest, rather than Kirishima. I think Kirishima had his time, and I think he's going to sit back. But Tokoyami, I think he will eventually get to the point of, like, what you're saying, where he can control Dark Shadow at night. The form of Dark Shadow that we saw at the training camp, you know, when the Vanguard Action Squad invaded, I think that Tokoyami will have control over that. And that's easily one of the strongest things that we've ever seen the class capable of. And I think that's going to shoot him to, like, the 4th spot. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, because we saw Tokoyami still kind of limited in his method of attack when we saw in the joint training arc. So your next question is, who are the top 10 most durable characters in One Punch Man? Exclude all of the above dragons. And then I think some picks could be Flashy Flash, Evil Natural Water, Overgrown Rover, and Bang, not by order. Thanks. above all. Hey, thank you for your support, Yonatan G. So here we go. Number 10, Pig God / Gums. Their durability is relative. Number 9, Metal Bat. Number 8, Phoenix Man. Number 7, Drive Knight. He tanked the Feline Retribution, no problem. Number 6, Silver Fang. 5, Flashy Flash. 4, Garo. You can put pre-woke Garo there. Number 3, Elder Centipede. Number 2, Overgrown Rover. It's debatable of who is more durable than them, but I'll just put Overgrown Rover number 2. And then number 1, Evil Natural Water. So that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Once again, I want to thank all 103 of my incredibly attractive, overpowered patrons. I can't thank you enough for all of the support, guys. So just thank you again, and I hope everyone has a great new year. And if you would like to be in next week's Q&A, just simply check out my Patreon. The $5 tier will give you access to this video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great